Happy Engineer, welcome back. I wanted to start today with a quick reminder about a couple of resources that are available for you to help you accelerate your career right where you're at today. Number one, if you need to go back through the blocking and tackling, those basic career fundamentals that will help you to hit the gas and stay disciplined, stay consistent on the things that matter, whether you're a junior engineer or a junior vice president. You need to pay attention to these simple tips. If that's you, grab a copy of my free ebook. There's a whole host of tips across calendar management and the habits and X factors that really matter in keeping us sharp in our careers, all sorts of things. Grab a copy of the free ebook. The link is in the show notes. The second thing is you can join us at our live monthly workshop. We call it Happy Hour because, hey, we're happy engineers. If you have never joined Happy Hour before, it is a live training workshop where we're going to go through some of the same exact concepts, strategies, tools, techniques that we use with our paying clients in our Blueprint program. Give those to you totally for free, as well as provide opportunities for one-on-one coaching with me at the end of that session. So join us at Happy Hour. The registration information is also there in the show notes. And the last thing, if you want to go deep on your own situation, maybe you feel stuck or frustrated, or like we'll talk about today, burned out, then jump in and let's do a career growth audit for you. We'd love to explore what are those main roadblocks holding you back from the success that you desire, and what are the actions that you'll need to take, a game plan, a roadmap for you to actually get to the results that you want. So if you would like to take advantage of a free career growth audit with one of our engineering career coaches, let's set that up. Again, the link to book that audit is there in the show notes. When I was in my career at Whirlpool, about 6 years into my career, I had experienced a lot of success. I was in a rotational development program for the first 2 years at Whirlpool, a really amazing opportunity. I got to rotate between jobs, get a broad experience, broad network. I went back and got my master's degree in mechanical engineering at the University of Michigan, came into my full-time work designing cooking products, and I had a couple of promotions pretty early in my career. But at that 5 or 6 year mark, I went through an absolute nosedive to rock bottom. I burned out. And I'll never forget being in my attorney's office, sitting at this big wooden table, catty corner from my divorce lawyer, working through the process of getting divorced and wondering, how did my life end up here? I was working so hard to be successful. I had a vision and goals, not just for my career, but also for my marriage. And somehow I had convinced myself that everything was going to work out. It was going to be okay and that things were fine. And yet somehow I ended up in this place of depression and embarrassment, disappointment. And I'll tell you, I would have traded those promotions or those bigger paychecks if I could have avoided that huge failure in my personal life. And it cost me not just emotionally and financially, but it cost me in my career as well. So why do I share that with you? I believe that burnout shows up in ways we never expect. Burnout is the unspoken pandemic. Burnout can sneak up on you. And the problem is, just like I experienced, a lot of times you don't realize how far down that road you are until it's too late to turn around and course correct. And you end up grinding your face along rock bottom the way that I did in my own career. Ever since becoming a coach, leaving my really successful career path that I developed after going through that rock bottom, and all of what I learned and all of the coaching that I received in rebuilding my life and my career at that time has been the foundation of what is now the Lifestyle Engineering Blueprint. But what I've been doing now as a coach is asking a lot of leaders, what is burnout to you? How does burnout show up in the modern workplace? What are engineers facing at all levels when it comes to burnout? And We've been really fortunate to have almost 1,500 one-on-one conversations with engineering leaders who are facing some sort of challenge, resistance, or burnout in their own careers. And so we've learned a lot about this. I want to share a couple of these really interesting perspectives to help you get a lens into your own career and ask, where am I really when it comes to burnout? So start with just a quick self-assessment, 1 to 10. If a 1 represents completely burned out, you're right there where I was at rock bottom. Things could not be worse. It's the thing you never thought would happen. You hate going into work. You dread Monday morning. Nothing is working. You're not happy. There's no passion. That would be a 1. And a 10 would be your dream job. Everything is great. You're happy. You're excited. You're inspired to go into the office. Things are going well in your career. You're making progress. You're happy with your income. You're happy with the impact that your career is making. And you can see a clear vision of where you're headed. If that's you, it's a 10. Quick self-assessment. Don't overthink it. Give yourself a number on that scale right now, 1 to 10. All right. No matter where you're at, I want you to listen to these burnout explanations from some fellow engineering leaders who have called us up and asked for help. First, from Philip. Philip said that in the past, I would say burnout has meant being overworked. In the modern workplace, though, I would argue that burnout is engineers not being engaged or not having enough meaningful work. I think this is an excellent insight from Philip, highlighting the distinction between traditional burnout of burning the candle on both ends, which still happens and may still describe your life and something you need to take care of. But this second point is something that I hear all the time, this idea of purpose, of meaning. Burnout is when engineers do not feel engaged or do not have enough meaningful work. If you're not giving yourself an 8, 9, or 10 on that scale, ask, do I have engaging, meaningful work right now? And if not, what's holding me back from connecting in a deeper way and creating meaning in the work that I do? Maybe it's that you don't know yourself well enough to understand what purposeful, meaningful work would even look like for you. If so, let's have that conversation. But burnout is more than just burning the candle on both ends. It's also not being engaged in meaningful work. Here's a quote from Tony. When I asked Tony what burnout looks like, he said, burnout is when you dread Monday, when you can't disconnect, when it's no longer fun to do what you are passionate about. Does that describe anything that you've experienced in the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? You dread Monday, and it's no longer fun. You see, it's not just long hours. Burnout has 1,000 faces, and one of those faces is when you simply do not enjoy the work anymore. You dread Monday, and it's not fun. It's just work. Work becomes a thing you have to do to pay the bills, right? You may feel fine. You'd say, Zach, I'm a 5. I'm a 5 out of 10 on that scale. It's neither good nor bad. I'm right in the middle. It's fine. I can tough it out. I can deal with it. In fact, honestly, it's work. What do you expect? Work is work. Well, look, if that's you, you're on the road to burnout. Just like Tony described, when it's no longer fun, when you don't get to do things that you're passionate about or the passion has died, you're on the road to burnout. Here's another perspective from Michael. When I asked Michael about burnout, he told me that burnout involves companies becoming lean to the point that engineers are filling several different roles instead of one. If they work only 8 hours, their performance suffers and they're mentally exhausted from not fulfilling their duties. But if they work the required hours, then they're physically exhausted from trying to keep up. Whew. Wow, this is really interesting. This tension of being in a situation where attrition or layoffs puts your team and yourself in a spot where you're doing more than one role. You're taking on the work of 2 or 3 people and you're divvying this up among the team. I know so many engineering leaders can relate to this. I had this happen multiple times in my decade-long career at Whirlpool Corporation, where a layoff led to our team having to absorb work that we weren't prepared to absorb. And this tension that Michael described, that if you keep to your boundaries and values, then you feel mentally fatigued, maybe even the guilt of not doing it or the fear of what's going to happen if your boss or others realize you're not working those extra hours. But if you do the work, then you become physically exhausted, that traditional burnout that we've talked about. Here's a couple more. Burnout looks like an individual who started strong but is declining in momentum. Perhaps the leader even loses interest in the gift that they hold. That's from Joshua. Joshua, I love this. Such an important insight that declining in momentum feels like burnout. This describes a huge percentage of the leaders who enroll in our coaching programs. It's not that they're at rock bottom. It's that they've lost momentum. They're not making progress. Does that describe you? How much are you connected to progress? Are you making progress? First of all, do you even know what you're trying to make progress on? Okay, if not, that's the first problem. Do you have a clear vision and plan for your career? But then, how are you doing on making progress? When the momentum slows, it leads toward burnout. Evan brings up one that we cannot overlook. Thank you, Evan, for your honesty here. Evan says that I think burnout is also if you are not being compensated equal to your effort. I know that there's a lot of perspectives about compensation out there, but I'll just tell you bottom line, the truth is that if you feel underpaid, it's only a matter of time before you're burned out. No one can stay in a situation where you feel every day undervalued and underpaid and thrive in that place. You will not be at your best if that is your reality. Now, whether that's true or not, that you are underpaid, is a separate question. But my point is, if that's your experience day by day, is that you constantly feel undervalued and underpaid, we have a problem and we need to take action to correct that. Either change your attitude or change your situation and get you that income. By the way, that second option is the one that I greatly prefer. Let's go get the money that you deserve. I could read you a dozen more examples of how burnout shows up, but what I want you to realize is that burnout has 1,000 faces. Burnout is not a single thing, and it's not just that old traditional definition of burning the candle on both ends, getting exhausted, and literally running out of energy completely. You see, burnout is not the moment when your fuel tank is empty. It's not just that running on fumes situation. Burnout begins the moment that you burn fuel faster than you fill the tank. I'm going to say that again. Burnout begins the moment you burn fuel faster than you're filling the tank. And the road to burnout is when you're running that energy deficit little by little every day. And remember that energy is both physical energy, but also mental energy, relational energy, spiritual energy. Pay attention to the whole picture. And when you're burning fuel faster than you're filling the tank, you're on the road to burnout. So let's go back to the question that I asked you earlier. 1 to 10, where are you at? 1 is burned out. 10 is a dream job, dream life. Well, ask yourself honestly, what is the direction, the trajectory of that score? If you look over the last 12 months, has it gotten worse or has it gotten better? And be honest with yourself. Maybe you've gone from a 7 to a 6. Seems like no big deal. It's only a 10-point scale after all. But guess what? It's a big deal. The direction matters. And if you don't course correct and create an inflection point upward again, it will accelerate downward as you go. The primary cause of burnout, it's not the things that you're doing. It's the things that you're not doing. And I talk about this a lot in so many interviews and so many different places, but I want to sit on it for just 1 minute before we wrap up this conversation. If you want to take action to get yourself into a new place and put that inflection point on the trajectory of your career to get off the road to burnout and back to a road to purpose, passion, experiencing growth and fulfillment, if that's what you want, don't focus exclusively on what you are doing. It's not the way that you work. It's not how many hours you work. It's the things that you're missing. It's the things that you stopped doing. Maybe you're not sleeping as many hours because you've given up that time to put in some extra hours at email. Maybe it's that you're not exercising. You're not taking care of your body. And so your physical energy is depleted and low because you're not taking care of the physical systems of your body. Maybe you have conflicts in relationships and you've stopped having the important conversations with the people that you love. And so you have these energy drains of conflict in your relationships, the people who love you. All of these things that you're not doing are the primary causes of the downward spiral toward burnout. So here's your action item for today. First, go back to your score. Where are you 1 to 10? Be totally honest. Don't lie to yourself. And then look back over the last 3, 6, and 12 months and be real about that trajectory. Are you moving down? Have things gotten worse? Or are you moving up? You've made some great changes. Things are growing. You're making progress again. You're feeling alive. You're feeling passionate. Okay, great. But again, I want you to be honest because the direction matters just as much as the magnitude. You might be an 8 today out of 10, but you were a 10 6 months ago. That's a signal you want to pay attention to. And the second thing is to ask yourself, what is one thing that I have stopped doing that I know brings purpose, passion, and balance into my life? It helps me to avoid burnout when I do this, but I've stopped doing it. I gave some examples earlier. Maybe it's sleeping. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's hanging out with your good friends. Whatever that thing is, I want you to make it a priority and put it back on your calendar now. Don't let it go. Change the trajectory. Do the work now so that you don't end up across the table from a divorce attorney with your face grinding against rock bottom of life, burned out like I did. It's not worth it. Yes, I recovered. Yes, everything I do today is the result of that incredibly huge failure, and I'm proud of who I've become. But that doesn't mean I wish burnout on you. You can learn these lessons without hitting rock bottom. So this is my plea for you. Pay attention. Where are you at? Where are you headed? And what action do you need to take today to start doing again the things that keep you balanced? If you need help with this, let's connect. The best way for us to do that is for you to book one of those career growth audits. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, go book that call. Let's have the conversation and assess really what's going on. Where are you stuck? Where do you want to get to? And what's the game plan to help you unlock success at the next level, get that inflection point that you need, and move toward being a 10 out of 10, loving your career, loving your life. That's what lifestyle engineering is all about. That's what we're here to do. So let's do this.